Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Sharks score a touchdown against the Chicago Blackhawks, who mustered two goals, but quite frankly, one was in the very beginning when the Sharks kind of looked like they didn't have their legs, and the second was in the dying seconds of this game with I think about 30 seconds to go, and the Sharks give up a late one. Anyhow, I am joined by Mr. Alex Martinet. Alex, how are you doing this evening?
Very, very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite all right. And we also have the Canadian robot hailing from the snowy vortex of the north. Canadian robot?
Hey, how's it going?
I think it's fair to say everybody is quite happy in Sharks Land tonight.
No, this is the worst game ever. I mean, goal at the end. This is the worst. Like, this team, I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Jones should have had that first shot.
Yeah, right. All puns aside and all sarcasm aside, if you want to be a part of the show, tweet at us at TealTownUSA on Twitter using the hashtag TealTownUSA. Of course, we are always in this YouTube chat. We are also on SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook. Anyways, gentlemen, I think it was pretty fair to say that was the Sharks' most complete win, maybe against a wounded Blackhawks team, but nevertheless, a very, very complete four-line effort against the Blackhawks tonight. What were your initial impressions of the game, Mr. Alex?
Pretty good. I mean, I think we are still seeing Kane's involvement in the offense, especially his speed. He's helped set up those last two goals in the first period. If that did, similar to the Edmonton game, if we didn't score those first two goals, I think the game would have looked a little bit different. But Chicago is just wounded right now, and they're playing out their schedule.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked like a wounded animal coming into this game. Ian, what were your initial thoughts on the game and just kind of overall impressions of the Sharks brought out tonight?
I think, overall impressions was, this is a team that is not a great team right now. And everyone knows this isn't your 3 years ago Blackhawks. But, I mean, that first goal, they looked like it. And I kind of thought at the first goal, I'm like, wow, this is going to be bad after we saw them get their hands, clearly slapped the last time they played the Blackhawks. So it was good to see after a scary start. I mean, it was just a complete effort. You got offense from all four lines, and I think that's what you want to see. I mean, it's a maybe this isn't a good team, and maybe Edmonton's not a good team, but you want to see the efforts that you're getting.
Definitely. I mean, I think, you still got to play the games that you're given on the schedule. I think you still got to really show up. And, this could have been easily, quite frankly, a trap game for this team. And, it looked, quite frankly, like in the first 5-8 minutes of the game, it was going to set up for that. I kind of had visions of, oh, my God, are we really doing this right now? Losing to the Blackhawks. And then, of course, the captain is just like, everybody, hey, you need to wake your asses up. I'm going to kickstart this, I guess, sleeping giant that awoke. So, it was good to see the captain lead them on the two goals in the first period. I mean, that first period, after the first 8 minutes, the Sharks just dominated. I mean, they took over the rest of the game and didn't really let Chicago even creep back in until like 30 seconds left. So
4 goals in the second period, then another goal in the third period.
And so, I think my main takeaway, and guys, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Mr. Torres, but this team looks like what Raffy did way back when he was acquired. This is what Kane looks like he's done to this team. He has given a physical edge to this team. And if you guys noticed, in that first 8 minutes of the game, they looked kind of lackadaisical. They didn't really look engaged physically, didn't look like they really wanted to check in the night. Kane gave a really big check. It was I think it was to Seabrook. And he basically forced the physicality tonight. And you know what? This has always been the MO of the Sharks. They just need that one player to spark them physically, and when they get physically into the game, the mental side of it comes in for them. What do you guys think about just the physical presence that Kane's bringing? Ian, why don't we start with you first?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what the Sharks needed or what was being written that the Sharks needed as far as grit and ability to fight or whatever, not fight per se, but just that physical presence. I mean, Kane checks all the boxes. He's aggressive. He's good. He's sandpaper. He can score goals. He can skate, and he's only 26. I mean.
Yeah,
he checks the boxes. Check of what the Sharks needed. Like Evander Kane is what they needed in a nutshell, and so far it's obviously been a positive addition.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like I think for the most part, I think the Sharks have had that component, but I think transitioning from defensive to offense has been the big issue, and I think that's what's helping us help set up Hurdle, LeBanc, and even Donskoy in a way. Just because of Kane's presence, adding more depth to the forward lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and it slots everybody down, which is quite nice. I mean, we're seeing now a combination of Donskoy with Pavelski and Kane on that top line. Looks like it's just really given some extra jump to Pavelski. I mean, he looks like a different player right now. And to see Donskoy finally get a little bit more room to play make, I think that's kind of that battering ram that line needed. And then, of course, you go down into the second line, which, features Hurdle and Couture and Bodker, which was kind of an interesting call that Peter DeBoer brought him up. I was kind of surprised that he split up Bodker and Tierney because they looked like they had some really good chemistry. But that puts the two rookies on the line with Chris Tierney. And, Chris has got some really good chemistry with Timo right now.
Yep.
And it's giving Kevin LeBanc a little bit of extra space out there, which is I think really what he needs. So you're still able to take advantage of that kind of that scoring prowess third line, but you're able to have a battering ram on the first line with Kane, a battering ram with Hurdle on the second line, and a battering ram with Timo on the third line. I mean, this team really has got a 3 power forward identity per the top 3 lines. And you know what? Barclay Goodrow, guys, one of the unsung fourth liners this year. Really, I mean, he could have pissed and moaned coming into this season with just the lack of faith that the coaching staff and with the general manager just kind of had on him. They basically told him, they called him out last year and said they needed more from him, and he came with piss and vinegar this year, and he's looked really good.
It's amazing what opportunity can do for a guy. I think that's like the one thing, like with Barclay Goodrow, is he just got doghoused way too quick, and that's obviously been a criticism for Peter DeBoer for a long time. I think we're seeing that with Tim Heed now, where it's like a lot of people feel that Heed can't get in the lineup long enough to really settle himself in again.
Yeah.
And the second he does get in, he gets, it's like, oh, there's a mistake, to the bench you go for the rest of the game. So I think that it's great for Barclay what he's done, but it's also nice that Peter DeBoer finally gave him the opportunity to do it.
I'm glad that's the case, but I think he's mostly beneficial because he's a scoring threat compared to Hansen. And those are the two I'm kind of worried about. I mean, Hansen's a great defender, but he can't really score. And the Sharks need more offense than more defense.
Well, I mean, not only that, I think that's a really good point that Hansen's got a lot of good defensive prowess and really just hasn't fit on this team.
No, yeah.
But I think the other thing, though, that really is kind of a trickle-down effect from Kane being acquired is Carlson coming down now onto the fourth line. He's a good third-line player. I mean, he can play up to a third-line player. He has slotted in before on the first line. I think that's kind of not really his forte. I mean, he can play there for sure. And if you're playing with Jumbo, I mean, hell, my dog could play with Jumbo. But having him now on the fourth line creates even more mismatch problems. So, when Fair is in and he's centering Goodrow and Carlson, I mean, he's got 2 puck hounds and quite frankly, a budding power forward in Barclay Goodrow, if I say so myself. You know, he's got those 2 on his wings, and that's a really good line. But Barclay, for as much credit as he's gotten, I mean, he's played really well as a centerman. And I thought it was a little bit of a vote of no confidence as him as a center with Doug Wilson getting Eric Fair, but it hasn't really affected Barkley's game. And if anything, I mean, he's come out with more, piss and vinegar.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I especially like what you said about Melker Karlsson, who I think has been, consistently miscast on this team, where he's spent, I think, far too much time in the top 6 where he belongs in the bottom 6. And it's glad that with the additions of Karlsson and then hopefully some healthy bodies coming back in, that won't be a thing anymore.
Yeah. What do you do when Joe Thornton comes back? It seems like he's going to come back late April, early March.
Yeah, I mean, there's no set timetable yet. I know Doug Wilson said he's going to start skating. The plan is to have him start skating in 10 days, but skating and actually playing, that's
yeah.
I'm optimistic he'll be back this year, but it's by no means a given.
Yeah, I think we see him probably in the last week to 2 weeks of the season, if anything, to kind of get his legs underneath him, get him up to game speed. I don't think we can really, I mean, look, the guy is superhuman, but I don't think we could ask for anything more than that.
Do you put him on the 3rd or 4th line? Is he
no
a
way.
second line center?
No way. I think when Jumbo comes back, basically you push down Donskoy, so you now basically give. So I think the lines would kind of work out like this. It would be Jumbo with Kane and Pavelski, which, oh my God, I mean that's a scary proposition.
I would leave Pavelski with Kane and Donskoy. Don't touch that line.
See, now they have good chemistry, but Donnie has always been really worked well with Couture. And the thing is, and he's streaky, but also, you've got the duo of Hurdle and Couture now together. And then you add another player that Couture is really, comfortable with. I think that's got some instant chemistry kind of written all over it. And I think that kind of helps slot Donnie in the right spot as far as the competition he goes up against. Then Bodker, that leaves Bodker as the odd man out on the second line. You put him back with Tierney. I think that's really, I think those two had some really good chemistry. And quite frankly, the way Meyer's playing, I think you bump LeBanc. I think right now LeBanc is the guy that I circle as the guy coming out if Jumbo comes in.
He's the odd man out, isn't he, at this point, when you look at, like, where are you going to put him? Because I don't think that I mean, obviously Hansen's going to come out of the lineup, and then this Sorensen will stop being a thing when Fair comes back. But once Fair, once Ward's healthy, I still think Ward's probably back in the lineup, whether that's right or wrong. I mean, that's a conversation for another podcast, but I think that, Ward's going to come back in. I don't know where that leaves LeBanc if he gets cold, because we've seen DeBoer pull the plug on LeBanc when he's gotten cold before.
I think the other, well, go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say, I would keep LeBanc in the lineup as long as Joe Thornton is his line mate. That way you can have a setup man for LeBanc, and maybe Bodker as his left winger. That way you can still have some offense, but that's still, I don't know what you do with Joe Thornton. It's one of those, it's going to be a question down the line.
Rob Iman quickly on the chat. Does Hansen get waived?
No one's getting waived. There's no roster limits anymore.
No. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly where I was going with you guys. We got to remember too, going into the playoffs, it's a war of attrition. So you want to have as many fresh bodies, as many battle-tested bodies as you can. And look, and KM, I know LeBanc has 34 points, but
you don't waive him.
No,
you don't waive him. I mean, you're just going to throw this kid away for nothing? Give me
no. I don't think that's where we were going, but I think I think he's the one that gets benched. Sure. And right now, the reason why I say that is even tonight, he looked soft on the puck, guys. I mean, he got like lit up by Duncan Keith. and that does not look good. And Peter DeBoer does not like it when a forward turns the puck over high in his own defensive zone.
Yeah,
that is not the way to get ahead in Pete's, in the echelon of Pete's doghouse, so to say.
I still think you have to give him that experience, that playoff experience, and then hopefully next year he builds off of that. I know Hurdle was almost the exact same way, and he's benefited from it, but can you live off of what he does is the question.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Like, is what he does on the ice, like, is scoring good enough in terms of his turnovers? Is it more beneficial enough? Because that's what I'm more worried about with Bank.
I just see Banker as a guy who needs to be in the top 6. Like, I think unless you're going to make like a third scoring, which you could make. I mean, you could make a really decent third line scoring unit right now. That would be decent anyway, depending on who you slot down there. And, if Bodker can find some of the magic that he found for a little bit before, but if you're going to have like a line and a half of energy, I don't know so much.
He has a lot of assists this season, so he has the capability to be potentially a center next season if the Sharks don't bring back Joe Thornton or Joe Thornton retires. I think that's something that we could possibly see next season. That's one of the main reasons why he's not going to get benched, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. In a perfect world, when Jumbo comes back, you have these quite frankly, these horrible options you've got to make. I mean, Christ, We're talking about benching Kevin LeBanc, who's got freaking 34
I don't think he's benched. I just don't know where he fits.
Exactly. So now we're talking about, okay, the options are, do you bench Bodker, which how can you do that when he's really kind of found his touch? Do you bench Donskoy because he's kind of gone cold? I mean, those right now are the two guys that I look at. You can't bench Meyer. I mean, the guy leads you in goals. I mean, he leads you in goals since January. And, this is quite frankly, this is a great luxury to have. So, I mean, and guys are coming in with hot bod. Yeah, bench. Tracy brings up bench Melker Carlson, but I don't think that's the kind of presence you want to bench on the fourth line. Because what are you going to do?
I don't know, though. Who fits, though? I mean, that's the problem, right? It's like, who are you going to take out? I think Melker Carlson, as much as I like what he brings on the bottom 6, if it comes down between, if you're looking for a guy to bench and you're saying, okay, look, it's got to be either Donskoy, LeBanc for argument, or Carlson. I mean, it becomes a pretty, easy answer for me.
Would you bench Bakker?
I don't think it's ever going to happen. I would have thrown him into the Hansen dark hole if I had my way, but
yeah.
I think that he's probably, I think with the amount of money that they're paying him right now, and I think the amount of just kind of stock he's bought in the last month, I don't think Peter DeBoer would kind of turn on him like that. I think what Peter DeBoer is looking for are the guys that are being consistent with keeping puck possession, the guys that aren't losing it, very high in the slot or kind of high in your own defensive zone. And I think right now he's going to pick off the weakest link defensively is who will take out. We're right now hovering around 45 to 48 viewers. If you guys would not mind subscribing, we have a little red button down there. Also want to throw some love over to Ian for Teal Tinted Glasses. Ian is got a great show over there. I mean, of course, he's got you know him, you love him, the hockey jerk, and of course the turtleneck himself, Kevin Lacey, are also over there with him too. But it's good to have Ian back in the fold. And
nice to be back in the fold. I was also on the Pucknologist last night too, so check that out. Apparently it's been a busy week for me. I decided I was just going to do podcasts every night, apparently.
AJ saying Bod has obviously upped his capital, but has to find some more consistency. Mirko is saying to choose LeBanc over Donskoy. I'd probably have to agree with that. I think Donnie and LeBanc are probably the ones that are going to be the platoon.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. I mean, it's just, I mean, the question was, well, what would you have done? Like at the beginning of the season, I think yes, Bodker's come around very well. I just get nervous about, if he does cool off and goes like, how long does the last little bit, how much cash does that give him?
Right.
How much money in the bank does he have there before it runs out again and starts going back into overdraft? That's what I want to know.
Right, and I agree. I think
I'm skeptical.
Yeah, exactly. And has this resurgence been because he's been dining out on lower echelon lines? It could be. Is it that Chris is really kind of making him float along, just kind of like bringing him up without question? I mean, he had a really good pass to Couture tonight. I mean, on that second goal,
Yeah.
that the pass to Burns over to Couture. No, was it? It was no, that was the Pavelski goal. So yeah, it was Bodker to Couture. I mean, that was a really nice, setup and assist for Cooch. And you can't deny that the guy has got offensive ability. It's just, I think at the first sign of that dry spell, I think that's when you got to pull the plug.
It makes me nervous. I mean, again, like this is the hypothetical, when Joe Thornton comes back, then who comes out? Because obviously someone has to come out. If this team gets healthy, someone has to come out. That's just, it's an interesting debate. I think, but like Landy said earlier, it's a good problem to have.
If you could, would you not play Thornton until the playoffs and just go with your core unit you have going right now?
I think you got to get Jumbo some games in because look, you can replicate the speed as much as you want in practice, but until you get hit out there, until you're actually at full game speed with another team kind of pounding on you, it's not the same. It really
My
isn't.
concern with Thornton is the only thing that I have a concern with Thornton is we watched what he played through last year, and I'm just really worried that he's going to come back before he's ready.
Yeah, it's the same.
Considering he played on no MCL, ACL last playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like right now, Jumbo is just going to be. It's going to be touch and go. It's going to be touch and go with him. And of course, look, we don't want to count the chickens before they hatch. Yeah, we had a really good game tonight, but there's still quite a bit of runway left. I mean, we've got teams that are nipping on the heels. I mean, the Kings game went final. They beat Columbus 5-2. I don't want to get too much into the reach around yet, but
pace ourselves. Let's get all the foreplay in first, geez.
Exactly. Gotta warm it up, But look, the Kings are 2 points behind us right now, and it's a dead heat for second place. At this point, it would take an epic collapse, I think, for the Sharks to fall out of a wild card. I mean, I'm just looking right now at the point spread. The Sharks would hold first wild card. I mean, even if they did fall out. So right now, Dallas has 77 points, and Anaheim has 74. St. Louis is the next closest with 74 points, but man, they're in it bad too.
Yeah.
And Colorado, I mean, I just don't think that there's enough left for them. I mean, they've got a couple of games in hand on the Sharks. So, yeah, they could pull out another 4 points, maybe. Calgary looks like it's fading away with Mike Smith injury. I don't see them.
Yeah, LA is the team that scares me right now.
Yeah, same here. And the Ducks. I like the Ducks a lot, but I don't think they. Yeah.
The Ducks are always kind of there. But I think I just feel like we're playing the Kings round one. Like you're preparing yourself for Kings Sharks round 5, right? Yeah,
round 45.
I've been very adamant. Like I know people are like, don't count your chickens before they hatch, but I've been pretty steady in my thoughts that the Sharks are going to make the playoffs for some time. Even when we all were basically writing the eulogies a month ago, I was still positive on them. So I'm sticking with it, boys.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't see them coming out. I was always the positive one in the group too. I had always felt that this team had enough, because I did bank really on LeBanc and Meyer. Those two I think were for me key to bringing this team forward. And you know what, they've delivered, and really kudos on them, and kudos for Doug Wilson for sticking with them. We give them a lot of shit. I mean, me and Ian aside have probably filled up gallons and gallons of shit that have loaded up on the Sharks prospect pool. But when you hit, when you're
a problem there.
Well, when you're batting pretty well with the 5th rounds and the 7th round picks, I mean, it makes up for the gaffes that you have in the 1st round, but not by much. Not by much.
No, because then you have to go and make deals that you just did, where you have to sell what few assets you have to pick up a guy like Evander Kane. That's the problem. I mean, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole.
But were you waiting on the Sharks to make a trade? And it seems like that was kind of the mood from a lot of us for a good 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks.
I was always on the fence that the Sharks were going to make a move if they knew Jumbo was coming back. If they had any kind of inklings that he was going to be out longer term than he actually was, then I thought, you know what, maybe it's time to kind of sell on some of these guys. I think once they got the news though that Jumbo was going to try and make it back, I think you owe it to him at least to try and make some deal. I mean, and let's talk about the Kane trade, guys. The return for what we gave up, I mean, it's looking like we fleeced Buffalo.
2 games in. 2 games in, but man, you know what?
Still, when you look at some of the returns that some of the other teams got for similar guys, I mean, it says a couple of things. It says that one, like, I think
Jason Botterill got schooled by a veteran GM.
Yeah, he did, but I think it also says that you look at the off ice issues that Kane's had, and that's probably worked to Doug Wilson's benefit as well. I think that when you look at what comparable players got, Doug Wilson did pretty well.
Yeah, and now I want to talk about the off ice issues because
here we go.
No. Look, Jumbo is known as a crazy guy. I mean, we might not want to say that, but the guy parties a lot. He goes to Vegas a lot. I mean, guys, the guy, he took a bunch of them out on that fishing trip into Mexico and a few years ago. He's always got his shirt off. I mean, the guy fucking walked in Pittsburgh with his shirt off. I mean, the guy is a beast, and he likes to party like a beast. So if you bring a Kane who also has this kind of persona of being a party boy, and you get him with guys that party responsibly, maybe that's the key. And I know that we're laughing.
I just like waiting for this to become like I'm just waiting for this to become like a mad commercial. I'm sorry.
Look, no. I mean, I know the issues, but I think if you were going to bring him into any kind of locker room, you don't want him to go into the Chicago locker room because, oh my God, him and Pat Kane, that would be an effing shit show. You look at maybe guys who do party, but who are also fathers, and maybe that makes him grow up, because when he's talking about building with Joe Thornton, you're talking about Jumbo picking him up. God, that's who else to have a freaking future Hall of Famer be your mentor.
I think that the problem is that we hear about, like, you always hear about the bad crap. You don't hear about the good crap. If you want to keep it just like stuff that actually has to do with hockey, I mean, the sweatsuit incident was forever ago now. Like it's a lifetime ago now. It feels like, the guy's 26 now. I mean, I think he's probably matured a little bit. I think he's gonna always have that kind of out there personality, and I don't think that should change. I don't know. I feel like we let one incident really define people that we don't spend any time with.
When it comes to Buffalo, though, I think with the Atlanta, or what was it, the Winnipeg trek from Winnipeg to Buffalo, I think Buffalo was expecting a franchise type player, and Kane wasn't that. And so when all the news broke about his off-ice issues, how he wasn't being that type of player, I think it kind of just added on in Buffalo.
And I think that's pretty true too, Alex. I think that there's a level of overblownness. God, you love you Winnipeggers, but man, you guys have some crazy
media market.
Yeah, exactly. You have some crazy ass media guys. All right. I mean, Gackle will tell you. I mean, they're pretty hockey nuts up there. So,
well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some cities where, like San Jose, a hockey player can probably walk around and, yeah, some people will recognize them, but then a lot of people won't even know who the hell they are. Whereas we're in Winnipeg, well, shit, that's Evander Kane. In Toronto, well, shit, that's Evander Kane. And even in Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo's no quiet market. That's a hockey mad market. That's a TV market that does better numbers than anywhere else in the United States.
Right.
Shocking.
Right. I mean, we all saw how fucking overblown the Justin Braun hurdle comments on Winnipeg was. I mean, and how they just really, I mean, anybody says bad about Winnipeg, dear God help you. Look, I'm sure it's nice country. I'm sure, hell, my grandmother had property in Nova Scotia. I know what cold is, but I mean, it's just guys, just loosen up just a tad bit. I know you guys are like the redheaded stepchild of Canada. I really do. I know how you feel, but just lighten up just a little.
But do you put any stock into the last two games? Because Edmonton is I mean, they're still slumping. They should be a lot better. Chicago, I mean, they have a ton of talent, but salary cap issues and all the other stuff surrounding it. Do you kind of look at the Columbus game on Sunday as the first real test?
I don't look at the results. I look at what I see on the ice. I think that what matters more is not the results of the team as a whole, which obviously important, but I just look at the way Evander Kane plays the game, and
it's
exactly the way he plays the game. It's exactly what the Sharks needed. Exactly. That's why I look at it. I think
look,
you can get results and get all silly about results, but you got to look at how they play the game.
But Chicago had its backup goalie and its second backup goalie.
I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer this question like this, and
that is a pitfall for the Sharks. That should have been disaster.
Lacey, I'm going to address you directly. Even if Evander Kane only brings 12 goals next season, if he's re-signed, 12 goals and let's say 15 assists, if he brings the physicality that engages this team every night, money well worth it.
I don't know if I go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Money is going to demand, I think. But look at guys are obviously going to need to be paid for perform. If you don't perform, you're going to get shit on. Look at we've been all over Joe Pavelski for half the season about how he's slowed down and everything else. And all he's really done since Jumbo has been gone is put points on the board.
Yes.
The points are there. Points matter. I mean, look at why is everyone so angry at Mikhail Bodker? Well, because he's paid $4 million and didn't look like he was going to find the back of the net with a freaking wrecking ball if he had one. I think that, I mean, obviously results, points matter, but I just think that matters anything. I mean, I don't think that's the same as Evander Kane. Like if it's Joe Thornton not scoring goals, if it's Logan Couture not scoring goals, I mean, we're going to get up in arms about it. That's what they're paid to do, especially those guys.
I still think the first real test is on Sunday, though. Columbus Blue Jackets made a ton of trades,
and Alex, they're fighting for their playoff lives. So if Columbus is really, I mean, if they're really caring about getting into the playoffs, I agree with you totally. That'll be the first real hurdle for Evander Kane. The other ones that I look at are the 16th against Calgary, the 22nd against Vegas. Again, Calgary, you play Vegas twice, you play Calgary twice. Those are going to be important points.
Yes. Even though I think Vegas we're not going to catch them, but I think those are going to matter for more positioning, though.
Yeah, it's the 2-3 seed that you're worried about now. The first seed, that's a pipe dream at this point. I can't see Vegas relinquishing it. I know they're on a little bit of a downturn right now, but
their downturn is everybody's like hot streak. So
right. So,
but this is what I've been talking about for a while, though. They haven't gone through a 5 or 6 game losing streak, and I think they would be the team I would want to face first round of the playoffs. If you get down on them in a 7 game series, I would love to see Vegas just to see what happens.
No, I want Kings first.
I'm sick of Kings.
I am not sick of Kings. I will never, ever shit on beating an LA team in the first round ever. You weren't here. I was traumatized. You leave me alone. All right, 2013 never happened, but anyhow.
Yeah, and what they're gonna say is we have 2 Stanley Cups. So what?
Yeah, but look, how long did it take? The comeback I come with was how many years did it take you to get those? And you had Wayne Gretzky, for Christ's sake. So, LA can go, do this with their 2 cups. Quickly, guys, I mean, the other thing, too, that we would be remiss if we did not talk about, but our brethren to the north, they're getting a team, boys. I mean, 25,000 season ticket drive within an hour. They broke the site.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle's a thing, right? I mean, there's no way Gary Bettman.
They sold their tickets faster than Winnipeg, but in fairness, Winnipeg does have some Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah. But I mean, we're getting a baby brother to the north, right?
Yeah, I mean, when they did the expansion, and they're looking for bids. I mean, that's the bids they were looking for. They're looking for Vegas and Seattle. They wanted to be the first pro league into Vegas, and they have nothing in the Pacific Northwest for the U.S. television side. Yes, the Canucks are up there, but that does diddly for them on the U.S. side of the border. So they need a team up there. It's just. It's good. I mean, everything's awesome. I know there's a lot of people out there already trying to kind of, be like, oh, there's probably like guaranteed basketball tickets when they get a basketball team or something in it for them, or blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I mean, let's give it a go. I mean, if there's someone up there that wants to give Gary Bettman and the NHL $650 million for a freaking hockey team,
I think
for them.
Yeah, I think AJ puts it best. Vegas, we sold 10,000 tickets in 48 hours. Seattle, hold my craft beer.
Right. Now, when Seattle comes into the fold, do you move a team from the west to the east?
No, because Seattle balances.
Yeah, it'll be finally even. You just have to move a team from the Pacific to the Central.
You have to go
Coyotes to Houston.
Yeah. Well, if that wasn't the worst secret in the NHL, or Kansas City, right? I think that they were the other ones eyeing a team. But I mean, I look at Coyotes. The other thing too that people don't talk about is the Coyotes have the weird daylight savings time thing. So their games are kind of going to be a little bit more of the central-ish variety anyways, because most of the year they fall into that, I think it's mountain time or whatever, but they don't follow the same daylight saving. So I think that's also not something that we really talk about. I was thinking maybe you could go Vegas to the Central, but I don't think that they do that. I think that they keep them in the pack. But man, you know what? I'm just kind of salivating over this Seattle Bay Area rivalry, Seattle Bay Area, Vancouver rivalry, Vancouver and Seattle. I mean, those are going to be some good games. I mean, it's going to be probably LA Sharks North.
Quebec City's gonna give us. It's obviously coming up a lot in the chat. Here's the issue with Quebec City. One, it's in the Eastern time zone,
right?
which they don't need another time. They don't need another team over there. In my opinion, Quebec City, if they were going to give them a franchise, they would have given an expansion franchise and took the expansion fees. They are holding on to Quebec City for relocation.
Yeah, that's the relocation.
Second, East team is in serious trouble and absolutely needs to move. They're going to go to Quebec, just like Atlanta overnight went to Winnipeg. That is the only way Quebec is ever going to get team. The problem with Quebec City is, look at beautiful city, love their hockey. A lot of the cities that you go into now in an NHL market, they generally have large surrounding populated areas. Unless you're bringing chipmunks to a game, Quebec City is Quebec City, and then a forest for miles.
I think the other thing too we also have to think about is industrial money. Is the money coming from business? There's like Ian said, it's beautiful country, but there's not a lot of business that's situated out of Quebec City.
Right. I mean, the only big thing is obviously Quebecor is the big media group, but that's who wants to own the team. So I don't like the corporate money would be a little bit tricky to get. And I just wonder, Quebec City is another thing too, whereas you look at how Montreal is such a tire fire, and half of it is because you dare hire a coach or GM that can't speak French. If you think that's going to be any less,
it'll be worse
in Quebec. It'll be worse absolutely. Yeah. Like Quebec City is like hardcore francophone. If you are not francophone, you are not going to survive in that city. So I'd be
Le guillotine.
Now, do you think that
if I was Gary Bettman, if I were to put a team in Quebec City, as much as I think that it'd be fine and it would work.
Now, do you think that by the time Seattle gets involved, will they have another team? Because I think that Vegas got really lucky having only being the one team, getting all the draft picks, getting all the best talent available in the expansion draft. I think
they got everyone's seventh best player.
So Alex, are you saying that we're having two teams?
I would say potentially two teams. That way,
you don't know why they'd uneven the conferences.
Exactly. You're going to imbalance. You're going to create an imbalance in the conference, and I don't
been that way forever though.
But they are not going to want that though, because
I don't think they want. I think that's why they wanted to expand specifically to Seattle and Vegas, not only for TV money, but because it would balance the conferences. I don't think they had imbalanced conferences because of realignment and because there's just teams like Detroit who had been such a good soldier that they just couldn't hold in the West any longer. And then you had teams like Columbus who frankly would be belly up right now if they didn't get moved to the East.
Right. And the other thing too is and we got to put this in perspective, guys. There is no way in hell that the NHL is going to be the first league to have 33 teams over MLB or NFL. I mean, there is no way that they're going to have more teams than either of those leagues. It's just not going to happen. And Alex, I mean, I know why the sentiment you're bringing it in is because you're trying to balance the draft when you get such a thing, but it's just not going to happen.
I mean, they're following the soccer formula from European, having more teams into the leagues. I would rather, if they're going to do that, allow more teams into there, allow more markets, but at least build up to a middle season trophy and then an end season trophy at the same time. That way you put weight into the schedule, because right now I think that's one of the bigger issues with the NHL regular season.
I don't think the NHL sees it that way, though.
Yeah, they would never do that, though. I understand why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, and let's bring a full relegation and demotion to exactly.
I mean, these are fantasy topics.
Right,
no, I know.
What I'm saying is, I'm bringing that up sarcastically. Yeah, I don't see them going over 32 teams. If Quebec is going to get a team, they're going to get a relocation team. Exactly. And Carolina has already beefed up its ownership. It's not going to be Carolina. If anything,
we don't know.
Oh my God. I mean,
anybody, but you just hold it in your back. I mean, if you're the NHL, you want to have fallback plans. Right now you have two. You have Houston, where there seems to be and that's the other thing too. You have to have an ownership group that actually wants to own your team.
Right.
You can build buildings out. Look at Kansas City. They've had a building forever that supposedly was supposed to get an NHL team. No one wanted to own a team there, though. That's the problem. And right now they have an ownership group that wants to own them in Quebec. They have an ownership group that wants to own a team in Houston, and they have an ownership team in Seattle that wants to own a team.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing too is Rockets saying Hotlanta. I don't think they're going there again. No. They got burned. They got burned twice by the Flames and by the Thrashers. It's not happening again.
Or San Diego.
San Diego. Look, as far as the sports market is concerned, it's NFL. And when that left, I mean, the guys, the Chargers had a hard time filling up the seats. And you think an NHL team's going to do any better? I mean, the goals, yeah, they're the highest drawing AHL franchise, but I don't think that there's an appetite for that here.
Yeah, I mean, 9,000 people would look great in a 17,000 seat arena.
Exactly,
seat arena.
Padres stadium, so don't even think.
Right, exactly. I mean, Padres is AT&T South, so I mean, I freaking wear my Giants jersey when Landy recognized Rocket sarcasm. Randall Hahn, San Diego can't spell sports. Yeah, that's how bad it is.
The Clippers used to be there too. So.
Right, exactly. They lost the Clippers. So, you know what? I'm totally with Ian on this one. It's going to be relocation or bust for Quebec City. As much as I'd love to see Quebec City. Yeah, and
before Quebec, but
it depends on who needs to move. I think it really depends on who needs to move. Like Coyotes moving to Houston to make perfect sense because it's not a big move. They can go to Houston. They're in the Central. It actually makes things easier for the NHL because now it's like they don't even have to decide, oh, gee, who do we pull out of the Pacific now? They just move. They move the Coyotes to the Central, and now they're Houston, and they're perfectly time zoned within the Central at that point.
And then the other thing that we're also not talking about, too, with adding another team, we're now talking about dilution.
Yep.
You know, even more talent dilution than we already have. And we talked about it, we talked about it with Vegas coming in, the kind of talent dilution. Now, the mitigating factor here.
Talent's diluted. That Vegas talent's totally done.
That's the mitigating factor is just how well they did it. But I mean, that is something else that we would see too.
I think when it comes to talent dilution, though, I mean, yeah, we saw it in the 90s because they added like 6 teams.
Right.
Right. Like through the 90s and like the early 2000s, how many teams they had? 6? Like, yeah, obviously when you add teams in rapid succession, you're going to. But I think that where there's going to be a little bit of dilution. But I mean, you already see guys that are NHL players that can't find NHL jobs right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as it's not like another, as long as they don't expand to another division, they're fine. Like they can expand another team as long as they stop at Seattle.
Right. I think that's going to be the key is stopping at Seattle. I also wanted to bring up the idea of maybe going back to a 3 division system within the conferences. No, within each conference.
Oh.
So having a pack, a central, and some kind of like desert division or something like that. I mean, that was kind of something that was floating around in my head. And the other kind of points that I wanted to bring up against Quebec and against a team, and people are saying San Francisco. Look, the Sharks have exclusive rights to the Bay Area. Montreal has exclusive rights to Quebec. I mean, they will try and block tooth and nail for a Quebec City team.
Yeah,
like AJ said on Pucknologist yesterday too, though. But I mean, all these arenas that are being built in the Bay Area, none of them, they're all like Barclays Center. They're not built with ice in mind. None of them. SAP is the only arena that is built with the sight lines and actual facilities to make actual ice and not be Barclays Center. I mean, not great ice, obviously, as we saw on Duclair's penalty shot tonight, but ice nonetheless.
Skylar Greenberg asking more than 82 games if we go to a 32 team.
No,
potentially less.
I would say, I would say less too. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an issue brought up on the CBA.
Yeah,
owners will never go for it. Owners will never cut. They would add because the owner side would add because it's still mostly a gate driven league. So owners would be all over adding games. There's no way owners are going to let you take away games. I think the players might like a few less games, but then because they're going to get paid whatever they get paid anyway. But I can't see that being a place where the owners slide. I mean, the owners give so little in these negotiations. I can't see them giving up games. I could see them trying to take games, but losing games, not going to happen.
Rob Iman bringing up a good point. Would the NHL consider contraction? I mean, that's something that AJ Strong has brought up quite frequently, is he'd like to see Arizona and Florida contracted. Mind you, if Florida flounders, I have a sneaking suspicion that they go to Quebec.
This is what they do. They have cities that are dumb enough to wait for teams to become available. They're never going to contract. One, the union's not going to let them contract because you're taking away jobs.
Yeah.
And the league's not going to want to contract because they look stupid. And Gary Bettman, after fighting tooth and nail for the last 20 years over Glendale, you think he's just going to fold a team? Come on.
No, yeah. I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's either going to be move or keep them in Florida.
All right, guys. Well, we have beat the kind of retraction and adding of teams and ticket sales drives and more business than I want to talk about because, quite frankly, I'm an economics major and I'm up to my eyeballs in it. So let's get back to the on ice results, and let's kind of go around the reach around, and we're going to do a little bit of an extended reach around for all of you.
Extended reach around.
Yeah, because there were some kind of interesting scores, and I kind of want to break it down a little bit because we've got some of the trade deadline action players kind of coming into it. Let's first go over the Bruins and the Penguins. Man, this was a 12-goal game. The Bruins come out firing. David Krejci with a hat trick. This first in 4 years. They spanked Pittsburgh. And guys, Pittsburgh, you know, as much as we wanted to anoint them as three-peat champions, man, they're kind of just floating around.
Well, no Matt Murray hurts.
Yeah, that's the big one. They were lucky to have Fleury in the backup spot, and he came in, but Niemi was there. He couldn't help out.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, like, not that giving up that many goals is good anyway. I mean, you can win with a backup, obviously, but no, Matt Murray is obviously a serious issue for them. Especially, I mean, look at the Bruins. I don't know where they came from this year. They're obscene. The Bruins.
What did you think of their trades during the trade deadline?
Oh,
they added the right pieces for sure.
Yeah, do you think they gave up too much for Nash? Absolutely. Yeah, because that's the thing.
I think that they definitely robbed Peter to pay Paul on this one. I think you look. I mean, Nash he's in on the scoring tonight. Let's see, a goal and an assist. Actually, 3 assists and a goal. So he had a 4-point night tonight. You know, he's going to be good because he's going to add a little bit more veteran presence. I mean, to a team that already has Patrice Bergeron and Zdeno Chara. I mean, what more do you need? But, you know, look, he's going to add a little bit more to some of the young kids. And
I think it's going to work out. I just think the price, like when you look at it down the road, I mean, hey, maybe the Bruins win the cup and I have no room to talk ever again. But I think down the road, it's a pay Peter to, or rob Paul to pay Peter kind of deal. Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh, I mean, guys, I mean, Matt Murray, they could fall into the wild card. I mean, Jersey could kind of creep back in. Would that present? It would present a crossover situation. So Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay first round, if they do fall out, that would be pretty funny.
So Pittsburgh has played what 30 or 40 games in the postseason the last 2 seasons. So I think they've
played a lot of hockey.
It's honestly, I think that has honestly catched up to Pittsburgh, and I think they're a great team. I just not enough rest time between each season.
Will Matt Murray become Niemi Part 2? I don't think so. I've watched Matt Murray play a lot of hockey, both on the Penguins and with my own eyes. He's solid. I think is he having a down year? For sure, having a down year. But you know, maybe not having that Marc-Andre Fleury safety blanket has taken him a little off guard. But I like the kid's got the goods.
Same with Martin.
He does. He's kind of reminding me of Kari Lehtinen, though, like the man of glass, where he can be really, really good. Kari Lehtinen was really good in his first few seasons, but man, he got injured like crazy.
Yeah, but I think
he's had a rough year for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen him. He's got the goods. I've seen enough of Matt Murray to not put too much stock into this season alone.
I do kind of worry though that teams have seen too much of Matt Murray and know the playbook. Similar to Jones this season, the first half, it seemed like
Jones was playing hurt.
Yeah,
Jones, you can take that one to the book. He was playing hurt, and he was playing. I'm guessing with a really slight pull in his groin, but he did. Yeah, he did not look
Jones
like he was good.
But you know what, Jones, again, like I feel like if you look at and you go month to month save percentage, I feel like the Jones has been the same goalie the last 3 years. He has good stretches and he has a slump. And this season his slump was a little bit longer than we would have liked to have seen, but he's been fine.
Randall Hahn, goalies don't have playbooks. All I have to say is glove high Niemi. That's all I have to say on that one.
Or five-hole Ian.
Quickly going over to the Hurricanes and the Flyers. Look, the Hurricanes are still not going out without a fight. They put a 4 spot up on Peter Mrazek. See, I don't know about that one because Peter Mrazek, man, he's either good or he's horrible. What do you guys think about the acquisition of Mrazek? And I mean, I know that the Flyers were challenging for that top spot in the Metro. I think at last count they slipped a second with the win yesterday by the Capitals.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, does Mrazek hold them over until until they get back? I mean, the goaltending guy that just never kind of goes away. I mean, does he hold them over until they get their goalie back?
They need it. I mean, they need a long-term solution in goal, I think. But this is a team that is, there's a little bit of, I think there's a little bit of house money here. This is a team that I think is so, like, prospect-wise is just in such a good place. And now that they're actually, Claude Giroux's kind of bounced back a little bit, this is a team that might surprise a lot of people.
Brian Elliott.
I really do like the Flyers. It's just goaltender is the one position.
Right. Which is like since Ron Hextall.
Yeah, so I think I was kind of surprised they didn't do too much during the trade deadline. I thought they could have done more, but
paging Winnipeg East, anybody? That's what I think.
Philly's a goalie graveyard. Yeah, I mean Philly's a goalie graveyard. Apparently they turned down. They turned down a deal for Hoffman. That I would have scooped up in a heartbeat. And I don't have it. I think it was a first in like Sanheim. And I would have done that in a heartbeat for Hoffman. In a heartbeat.
And like I said, the Hurricanes kind of had a quiet trade deadline. I know Jeff Skinner was on the block, which is kind of interesting, but they're kind of plucky and they're still hanging around. Right now they're 2 points out of the wild card with Columbus. I mean, Columbus also being pretty plucky as well, and they're hanging around. But don't sleep on the Panthers because you know what? They've got a lot of games in hand, and if they win 2 of their 3 games in hand, they're right back into this thing. So
the Panthers or the Hurricanes?
The Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm moving over to the Panthers and the Devils. Yeah, the Panthers beat the Devils 3-2 tonight. Let me take a look at who scored the goals for this one. As soon as the NHL app loads, it is Barkov, Hall, Maxim Manum, Alexander Barkov again, and then Jesper Bratt. This is one that Florida really needed, and they pulled it out. And like I said before, they're going to be interesting come down the pike too.
They've had a really good second half. I think that if it's unfortunate they were such a disaster their first half because they've really come around the second half.
Yeah.
They've weathered some pretty significant goaltender injuries. I think for a while, I think both Luongo and Reimer were out, so I think they were using Harry Sateri a little bit.
Sharks former
prospect Harry Sateri. Yeah. But they've had a really decent second half. Look, this team is better on paper than it's played, and it's just unfortunate that off ice issues and just kind of stupidity in the front office has really held this team back from actually being something.
I think stupidity in the owner's box is where I would fall that one. Quickly going now over to the shootout that was the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars. Guys, I mean, it's Lightning are poised to be the juggernaut going in. I mean, they're going to be the ones that everything is going to be riding on. It's similar to what Washington was last year, where they are the team to beat. Clearly, by far, they are the class of the East. I mean, they're class of the NHL. Do we wonder if maybe they added too much to the mix and took out too much of the mix? Because we're always worried about that locker room chemistry being upset, with major moves.
Nemestikov was he was going to be whether it was now or in the summer. I think he just didn't really have a place. But I mean, as long as you have Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos, I think you're going to be just fine.
Their goalie got hurt the day after the trade deadline.
Yeah,
so that's the bigger issue. Is if he's out for 3 or 4 weeks, I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but
that's been the Tampa Bay Lightning in a nutshell, though. Key injuries that have just unwound them.
Yeah. So I think they gave up too much for what they gave up to New York. I'm not too sure about Tampa Bay, and I would like to see them first round and see what they actually play like.
It'd be funny if it was Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh, and people are saying Washington's being a little too sneaky.
I'm not sure Washington.
But I mean, I'm just saying if Tampa Bay snipes Pittsburgh, and this is the way that Washington finally gets to a cup run because somebody sniped their kryptonite, that would be pretty funny.
See, I don't think it's such a clear path, though. Like, as bad as the Atlantic is, I mean, I would.
Oh, I don't want to face the Bruins. Yeah, I don't want to face the Bruins.
I would say the Atlantic is a pretty decent division. It's just the Metropolitan is just crap.
I think the Metro at least is like the Metro is crap, but I mean the Atlantic. I mean it's 3 teams, and then everything else.
Yeah, it's 3 teams and then Detroit. It's 3 teams and then Detroit. I mean, it's really bad.
The Senators are a tire fire and then some.
Montreal's crap.
Montreal's a tire fire.
Buffalo is
a tire fire. Buffalo's a tire. I mean, it's just like a bunch of it's like 3 teams and then a pile of burning tires.
Yeah, I mean, look,
in the division.
As much as we shit on Vancouver and Coyotes, man, I mean, I think our top 4 is a lot stronger than the Atlantic's top 4, barring Tampa Bay and Boston probably too.
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on the Leafs either.
I don't know though. If Boston and Toronto go against each other in the first round, I'm picking Boston, all the time.
I would pick Toronto. I'm not too sure about Boston right now.
That'd be a tough series, man. That'd be a good. I'd be sitting down watching every game of that series.
I think though the thing that I think about though is the lockout year and just how they really got into Toronto's head. And they came back in that 3 overtime game and
but those players they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah,
all the guys' head that they'd be in are gone, other than a couple of guys Bozak on the third line is traumatized. Austin Matthews is the guy now. It's not Tyler Bozak passing to being made awesome by players around him. Now it's a completely different team than the team that got handed them. So
Predators and Oilers. I mean, look, the Predators they're going to stamp their ticket to at least the second round. I think they're probably going Western Conference Finals again this year. That they're the most complete team in the West, I think, in my opinion. No offense to Vegas, but they haven't brought it in the goods yet to playoffs. Predators, they're a stacked team. And look, they've only got 14 regulation losses through this part of the season already. Mm-hmm. That is a freaking scary team.
Best team of the West.
Easy. It wouldn't surprise me if we get Tampa Bay and the Predators for your final.
I don't know about that.
Then head over to the Wild and Coyotes. Boy, if anybody needed a win right now, it's the Wild. They really needed that win to kind of solidify their position. I mean, they
slacked the Blues 8-3. I mean, it's not like they've been a disaster.
Yeah, but I mean, they're only 2 points up on Dallas right now. I mean, it's nothing right. is settled, and it's kind of a tenuous position for Minnesota. And that's also a team that's got some stuff to prove. So I would have liked to seen the Wild beat the Coyotes. I mean, that should. Well, I mean, I know the Coyotes are scaring people.
What do you want?
Well, that's true. Former Sharks product, Alex Stalock. I mean, of course, we went over the Sharks and the Blackhawks. There's no need to hash that. And then the Kings. The Kings beat the Blue Jackets 5-2. And yep. I don't know what to make of our brethren in the South. I don't know if we should be up on them because Carter's back. I don't know if we should be, it's a flash in the pan. It's the Kings. I really don't know how to feel.
This team stayed afloat without Jeff Carter.
And that's the scary part of it.
We all laughed about Phaneuf going there, and that so far has been
worked out
dynamite for
fantastic.
them. It's worked out fantastic for them. As much as they're like, oh, they've got a pylon. Yeah, well, it's a pylon. It's scoring.
I think he's a great offensive weapon compared to having that on Doughty. So you have that mixture on the Kings. But also, I think the storyline for the Kings is that Jonathan Quick is still the best goalie in the HL. Like,
I'm not. I can't even.
I'll see your Jonathan Quick and raise you an Andre Vasilevsky.
I'm sorry, but he's still the best goalie in the HL.
My God, no. No, what are you smoking and where can I get it? I mean,
I'm telling you, he is the best goalie in the
HL. No, he's not.
Oh man, Alex, God bless you, but really,
I'm sorry, I can't praise a Keen, but I'm gonna do that.
Oh man, I think he's good, but I don't. The best man.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? If we do get Kings Sharks round 6 or round 5 or whatever it is, I want to see Evander Kane like light up Dustin Brown, please, just reverse knee him, and just be like, here's for all the knees you've taken out, you dirty bastard. But yeah, no, the Kings, I mean, they're not going away. I think, like I said, I think it's going to be King Sharks. That's what it's looking like, and Anaheim might fuck that up. Yeah, Anaheim might fuck that up for us because Anaheim doesn't let any of us have good things. But yeah,
just the Kings that it's everything seems to be going their way. They get to they got Carter back now. You've had a bounce back here by Dustin Brown, which I hate saying, but I mean you can't deny the truth. I think Doughty's had a season where he's going to be in serious consideration for the Norris. Kopitar.
How does he not win it
again? How does he not win it?
How does he not win it? I mean, maybe PK is.
I think it's a 4-person race right now.
Hell, you could either give it to PK or Roman Yossi. I mean, there's two defensemen.
In there it's probably going to be PK this season.
Ugh, man, I don't know. I don't know. It's just I can't believe we're talking about Drew Doughty. Blah.
Sorry.
But hey, you know what? It is
facts are facts.
Facts are facts, and you know what? For as much as we hate him, the guy is very talented, and he's probably going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. So the LA Kings are gotta get their kudos out of him before he goes to Toronto.
Of course.
No, but all kidding aside, no, he's definitely been the best defenseman I think this year. I mean. Yeah, Rocket bringing up a good point though. Yossi is a D-man and the captain on his team. Fap. Yeah, I mean there's a lot there. I mean Victor Hedman was also
like there's a few. Like I said, there's a few guys that are gonna be really talked about. I think that I nearly died laughing when someone tweeted about Vlasic being a Norris candidate.
Look, I mean, if we're talking about splitting up the Norris, which I think that they should have done, maybe making a Paul Coffey and a Big Bird, a Larry Robinson award, and splitting that up into best offensive and best defensive defenseman, kind of like what they do with the Selke. I think that Vlasic would be a front runner, but. After Nicholas Lidstrom left the NHL and retired and, quite frankly, probably the best all-around defenseman that the NHL has probably ever seen. I mean, I know we're going to get Bobby Orr. People are going to be yelling at my throat for Bobby Orr, but the most complete defenseman. After him, it just kind of opened up this big question of how do we award this award? How do we give this award out? Do we go with the offensive guy or do we go with the defensive guy?
Well, I mean, we don't do anything because we're not members of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, so we don't get a vote.
and apparently, Alexander Ovechkin, they can't figure out what wing he's on, so there's that too. But anyhow,
right.
But anyhow, yeah, I think it is Doughty, and I think that it's going to be an interesting kind of ride to the finish line here as we wrap up this edition of the NHL Reach Around. Quickly, I'm going to throw up the graphic because we're almost out of here. If you want to catch us, I mean, we've got some really, really good content being pumped out on the website, tealtownusa.com. It is the triumphant return of Ian Reed as a writer. And he had some really good thoughts on Doug Wilson and his Facebook Live video stream. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, go over to the Sharks Facebook page. He's got a kind of
there's a link to it in the article, so you should read the article and then click the link to the
exactly. But he's got
watch yourself and see how badly I transcribed it.
But I mean, it's kind of interesting because it looks like Doug has some seriously teal tinted glasses going on in that video for sure. But check that out. Ian's thoughts on that. It's tealtownusa.com. Of course, you can catch the audio version of our show and, of course, the Pucknologists on iTunes. We're also on the Google Play Store. We're on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, and, of course, YouTube. You can always find us on the YouTube. Rocket saying teal tinted cocaine, more like teal tinted spray tan. Anyway. But anyhow, guys, last thoughts and, what are you guys' just opinions on the next game? It's Columbus. Where do you guys seeing the Sharks land? Alex, where can we find you and what are your last thoughts?
You can find me on Twitter at @AlMartinet. I do a bunch of video game reviews. I'm also on the Spartan Daily this semester at San Jose State, doing a bunch of things over there. In terms of Columbus, I do think this is the first real test. I'm sorry, I just took a quick check on Twitter and my notifications are blowing up because of that alleged best goalie mention, but we won't go there. First real test.
Tried to stop you.
Oh man. I'm gonna get it.
If you haven't already.
Whatever. First real test. Columbus, I think, is going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to fall out of the playoff race. They made 3 trades during the trade deadline. So they have a lot to win for. Again, I'm not really following Kane. I think it's more just the Sharks' third or fourth line that's going to show up in Columbus. So that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow or on Sunday. So, yeah.
Ian, where can we find you? What have you been working on these days? And what are your thoughts for the game on Sunday?
Oh, man, forget about me. I mean, you got to go and give Alex some crap for his goalie takes. No. You can find me on Twitter at IanBlogsHockey. Finally, my Twitter handle actually matches stuff that I do again. As Landy said earlier, I've done about 3 articles so far on Teal Town USA. There's going to be more coming as things happen and as I have random thoughts and time to write it. You can also find me. I guested on the Pucknologists, which was released this morning, also on Teal Town USA. And you can find me on my other podcast, Teal Tinted Glasses, over at tealtintedglasses.com.
And I'm at Eric.
Game.
Yeah. You need to do that.
Columbus, I think Columbus is fighting for their playoff lives. I think it's going to be, I think it'll be a test for sure. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good game. I still think the Sharks are going to come out on top. I think they should, but they're going to get it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be a really good indicator as of what Kane's going to bring. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be one of those 2-1, 3-2 kind of games. And I think the Sharks will pull it out. Of course, I'm Eric Landy. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Landy, on Facebook at Eric Landy. People have been adding me left and right on Facebook. Go ahead and add me. I'm on there, and I make no qualms. I don't have any kind of aliases, so you can always find me on any of that social media garbage with my first name and my last name. Anyhow, thanks everybody for tuning in. I think we topped out at about 50 viewers tonight. That's really, really good for us. Again, subscribe down there. We're approaching that 700 mark. I think we're gonna get there this year, and I think we're gonna break past it in the playoff time. We normally get some really good hits. Of course, all of you Chicago Blackhawk fans, thanks for tuning in. I know it's kind of an off year. All you got to do though is go kiss your 3 rings and put one in each ear and then put one right here and just kind of throw it up to us because we're still searching for ours. Anyhow, for all the Teal Town USA peeps. And for the new Pucknologist that dropped, go check that out. AJ has kindly reminded me to plug that because they had some really good content on there. Check them out. And for all of us, again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you after the game on Sunday.